So we are here on Facebook talking about how to create a great experience for families. So just to introduce ourselves a little bit, we are the Life Church Open Network, and we are all about making pastors and church leaders stronger. The Life Church Open Network is where you get stronger. And so how we do that is we offer resources, training, and apps to churches all over the world, and we do it for free simply just because we believe in the local church and we believe in the unity of the global church. And so everything that we make here at Life Church, we offer to you for free to help your ministry get stronger and ultimately reach more people for Christ. So today we're going to be focusing on that training element, and we are going to be training in the area of making a great experience for families. That's the parents and the kids that visit your church seeking Christ. So I am joined today by Viv Claro.
Hi guys.
She is the Life Kids pastor at our Norman campus. It's our brand new campus, and we are so excited to have Viv there pioneering it. Viv has been on staff for almost 3 years, and she is just such a great, friendly, smiling person, a great woman of God, and perfect for Life Kids. She's learned a lot, and she's really been instrumental in building some of our programs. She came from the OKC campus, and now she's going to be launching at the new Norman campus. And Kelsey Scholes, she is also the Life Church pastor at Stillwater, right? And she's also been on staff for almost 3 years. We have so much experience here. And that's one thing that I want to point out, though. We are going to share some principles with you that have worked for us here at Life Church, but we also know we do not have all the answers. You know, we have made mistakes in the past. Our Life Kids, our whole team of Life Kids has been around for 20 years, and we've made a lot of mistakes. And then we've learned some pretty cool stuff. We've learned some great stuff that actually really works well for us here, and we want to share that with you. But please know that you might need to tweak it or change it for it to work in your community. And if you have a great idea about something that we talk about, leave it in the comments. We would love to hear it. Also, that was us. We want to meet you. So please leave a comment in the comments section and tell us where you're from and your church name, maybe your area of ministry, or if you have a burning question that you just want us to answer. We are going to work through some material about creating a great experience for families, and then we're also going to answer all of your questions live. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so big picture. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention. This is something that you are going to be able to get for free. You're going to be able to download our Excellence Walk checklist, and we're going to talk more about that in a little bit, but this is a really practical tool for doing exactly what we're talking about today, creating that amazing experience for families. So you're going to want to stick around to get the URL for that. So first of all, tell me, Viv and Kelsey, just really fast, like what is like the visceral gut level of why it even matters to create a great experience for families, Viv?
Absolutely. So you want to create an environment for families that, one, it's fun, it's welcoming, it feels warm, and most of all that it feels safe, that they're walking into an environment that they're going to want to come back to, and that where they feel safe bringing their kids to.
Yeah, absolutely. When I think about creating that safe, comfortable environment for kids and for families, I think about removing those distractions and hopefully breaking down some of those walls and barriers that kids and families come into church with, so that way they're open to hearing about the truth of God's Word, whether they're 3 or 45 years old.
Yeah, and every area, every touch point in your church really does matter, but kids is such an important one. If the kid comes and has a great, fun time, and if the parents see that it's safe and clean and loving, that family is going to want to come back. That is why it's so important that we provide, you know, it's guest services. It's like customer service. We are not in a for-profit business, but we're here for something so much more important. And if we treat those people with the utmost respect as though they were high-paying customers because they're so valuable to God, they are going to want to come back.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to get into some of the more specific areas of creating a great experience for families, and we're going to hit that in 3 different sections. So you can think about what we're going to talk about in terms of what happens before the service, what happens during the service, and what happens after the service. So for before the service, you know, that it's funny, sometimes we don't think about it, but when a kid arrives in the classroom, they've been on your grounds for maybe 20 minutes already. So we need to think way earlier than before they arrive in your classroom. So Viv, what are some of the things that you do? This is where the Excellence Walk checklist comes in, to prepare for people from when they turn into the parking lot.
Absolutely. So something that we do, which has actually helped us a lot, going into the weekend is, that last day before the weekend even gets there, before families, that we walk through our entire area, make sure everything looks clean, chairs are where they need to be, carts and curriculums are in the room, everything that our volunteers and our leaders are going to need is in place. Even for our guest services counter, so we have a counter where families walk up to and they'll register their kids if they're attending for the first time or if they're going to check in. We make sure there's enough pens for them to use, that all the registration cards are there. Really walking into this building like if it was opening its doors for the very first time.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, we want to make sure that that's what families feel when they walk through, that everything was created just for them in mind. And even answering those questions for them already that they may be coming into. With.
What's an example of that?
So even where do I sign my kid in? Where do I go? I've walked in through these doors and where do I go? So making sure that you have people welcoming them as they walk in, directing them where to go, that they don't walk in 10 feet without somebody smiling at them and welcoming them as they come in.
Yeah. So clear signage too.
Yep.
You might have something that says kids check-in or
Yes.
guest services.
That's really important. Yeah.
And then one thing we do, if you do have enough volunteers, one thing you can do is have volunteers outside the door or at the door, but then also midway through your lobby, because they can just offer a friendly go this way. And people know where to walk then if it's their first time. And you can tell people walk in and they're kind of looking around and they don't know where to go. So if you do have the volunteer leaders for that, they can be really helpful in that kind of no man's land in the middle of your lobby.
Yeah. And that's where partnering with your host team or maybe your first impressions team really is super helpful in that area of making sure that the second those kids and those families get out of their car, they have that smiling face there to greet them, and then someone's at the door opening it, ready to just welcome them into the building, and then having those amazing guest services leaders who are standing there ready to answer any of those questions. And we have an amazing host team that loves to just partner with us in that, and they train their leaders to really look for those kids and give them high fives, say, oh, we've been waiting for you, your leaders are so excited to see you, and that just starts building that energy and that fun experience before they even walk into the kids' hallway.
Yeah, they haven't checked in yet, they're not in the classroom, but maybe 4 or 5 people have already made them feel welcome.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
on the checklist, just some examples of things, and it's sometimes things that you wouldn't even think about, but it's here at Life Church, our curriculum is video based, and you can find all of that curriculum on the Life Church Open Network for free for you to use in your church too. But because it's video based, that means that we need a TV in good working order.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that the sound is working. The remote needs
It's
to
somewhere
have
to be found.
batteries
Yes.
in it. Yeah, we can find the
We can
remote
find
at
the
all.
remote.
So things like that are all on the checklist. Prepping the restrooms, prepping the lobby. So my very favorite thing on the checklist is to look at the weather forecast for the day of your service and make any changes that you need to. If you're expecting big thunderstorms, have extra, go to the dollar store, get those little foldy umbrellas, have extra umbrellas, have maybe paper towels there for people to wipe off with, have extra floor mats out if you can. Just little touches like that the Excellence Walk can remind you to do will really help your guests feel like you thought about them before they got there.
Exactly.
Okay, so that is Excellence Walk checklist. In order to get that for free, it's so easy. You can just go to, it's kind of a weird URL, so I'm going to spell it for you. It's go2.lc/welcome families. So that's the word go, G-O, the number 2, LC/welcome families. That link is going to be copied into the comments, so you can also click on it there, and I'll say it a couple more times, so do not worry about missing out on it. Okay. So you talked about guest services, Viv. What is this area?
So this is an area that's very clear, kind of in the middle of our lobby. It's guest services for me. It's the face of Life Kids. It's what parents and families are going to see first when they walk through our doors. And so this is an area where families will come to register their kids if they're here for the very first time, if they're coming even just to check our kids into the ministry. And what this does, it's that face of Life Kids, it's that welcome team. It's the team that's going to just start that experience for that family and make sure that it carries out throughout the entire service and even beyond that.
So what if I'm a brand new family and I walk up to this counter, what am I going to do? Someone says, hey, wow, are you new? We'd love to sign you up. And then what? What do they do? Walk me through what actually
Absolutely.
happens. And then, because there's reasons for each thing too, so I want to talk about that. Okay.
So if you're there for the very first time, you'll walk up to the counter and you'll be greeted by somebody who's going to welcome you, ask you, hey, how can I help you? And you'll say, I'm here for the very first time, and they'll probably with a really big smile on their face say, great, glad that you're here. And so what we have is we have some registration cards that ask really basic information that we'll need in order to register their kids. So parents' names, date of birth, so that they're assigned in the right classrooms, and then contact information for any case that we need to text them or email them in the future, send them a card home. And so while that family is filling out that card, we have sometimes guest services members who are going to come out, volunteers will come out and talk with the kid, because really that's
Talk with the kid.
with the kid.
Awesome.
Yeah, because like you mentioned earlier, really a kid experience can make or break someone coming back to church. And so they're going to talk to the kid, they're going to welcome them, give them a high five, give them a sticker while that family is filling out that card. And once that's all filled out and we have it in our system, they'll explain then, you know, how our tags work. So we have 2 tags, we have a parent tag and a child's tag, how that works. And then they'll give them a red bag. And so we use a red bag, and in this red bag, we have things just welcoming them to our ministry, just little other pieces of information that they'll find helpful as they get to learn about our ministry. And then the thing that's really, really important, this guest services volunteer is going to walk that family to their classroom. That's super helpful, especially every building is different. Sometimes you might have the room is right next door, or there's always clear signage, or it'll be helpful to have clear signage. But it's going that extra mile for that family, making them feel needed, making them feel known. That family is walked to their room. Now, if you're in a place where maybe there's not enough volunteers to do that, it's always helpful to grab a staff member, just making sure that that family is cared for as they make their way to their rooms.
Yeah. So I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
There's so much good stuff in there. First of all, I love the idea of walking someone to the classroom. I know that just as an adult, it wasn't in kids ministry, but I was at Elevation Church and I needed to know where something was, and that volunteer walked me where I needed to go, and I felt so special. So to give a family that kind of first class treatment is really, really good. So you also mentioned the red bag. So every campus does that, right? So Kelsey, tell me exactly what's in the red bag, and it's a little bit more than just like, hey, here's some info, right? It has like a secret job. Tell us about that.
It really does. That red bag is so useful. So inside that new family bag, there's a welcome letter from their Life Kids pastor that just welcomes these families to Life Church and into Life Kids. There's also a brochure called What About My Kids that just explains more in detail about what Life Kids is and what we do and the curriculum that we use and our goal and our hope for their kids when they're with us for that hour. There's also some Life Kids swag. We've got stickers, tattoos, all the things.
Tattoos.
I know. Well, when you're a kid, that's the best thing in the world. And so the bag is not just for the parents. But the secret behind the red bag is that we have had so many conversations with our leaders and with our staff team that red bag is a signal to everybody in the lobby that is a new family that's joined us for the very first time. So it's like painting a huge neon sign above their head that says, I'm new, talk to me. So our staff and our leaders, they're so amazing at engaging with those families, talking with them, answering any questions that they might have, and really just engaging them and making sure that their first experience is amazing. And we hear from families all the time when we follow up with them, like, I had so many people talk to me in the lobby and ask me if I had any questions at all, and that made them feel welcome. It made what could seem like a really big church feel really, really small to them,
And
which
they
is
didn't
amazing.
know.
They had
Sorry.
no idea.
It
They
was
had
because
no
of the red
idea.
bag.
Yeah. It's a secret. It's a secret. One of our other bonus tricks is for every new kiddo that comes into Life Kids, on their name tag that they get whenever they check in, we also put a little tiny Life Kids sticker. And what that sticker does is it signals all the leaders in all the rooms to know that that kid is joining us for the very first time. So when they're there to greet them at the door, they go all out when they see that sticker because they know that this kid might be a little apprehensive, might be a little scared. These parents are going to have questions about where do I sign them in and how do I pick them up. And that is kind of a little cheat sheet for us of, oh, okay, I'm going to go the extra mile and just overly explain everything and make sure that these kiddos feel as comfortable as possible. So once again, that's just a little tiny sticker that we put on their name tag, and that is so helpful for our team.
new family because
Absolutely.
it's really going to allow you in your church to reach out to them and make them feel comfortable. There's nothing worse than being somewhere and not even knowing where the bathroom is.
Yeah.
Like, and no one will help me. Yeah, so
Yeah,
people
so
really
true.
can reach out to them when they know that they're new. Okay, so clean lobby, fresh smells. We checked in at guest services. We've been walked to our room. Those are all of the things that happen before the service starts. So now the kid is going to come into the classroom.
Yes.
They're excited, maybe not, all different personalities, but the lesson's going to start. So Viv, starting when we receive that child into the door and the lesson's going to start, what are some things there to make that family feel welcome?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we love to do is, especially if that child is new, brand new, like Kelsey said, that sticker's there, and having a leader at the door greeting families is really, really a great way to make that family feel special.
And actually, talk a little bit about that. We generally have the door closed and
Yes.
whole families don't go into the room, right? Can you talk a little bit about that and safety and like,
Absolutely. And so we do. We have half doors that allow a leader to go ahead and see families coming. And what they'll do, there's actually a really neat story. One of our leaders opens the door and comes down to the kids' level and meets them eye to eye. And that's something really important for a kid who might be intimidated coming to a room with people that they've never known before. And so we let that leader comes down, meets them eye to eye, welcomes them, and ushers them in, and then talks to the parents and says, if you have any questions, let us know. And we have an actual sign-in sheet at the door where parents will go ahead and sign their kid's name, their little key tag number that's on their sticker that we use, and put their phone number. And so something that we've extended is leaders will tell parents, hey, if there's anything, we can text you during the service. Do you want us to check in with you during the service to make sure that little Timmy or little Jimmy is doing great? But really, one of our core values is safety, and so we want to make sure that we're keeping our kids safe, our families safe, and our leaders safe. So every volunteer that's in our room has been background checked and approved to serve in that room, and so if they are not background checked, they are not allowed to be in that room with the kids. So we want to provide an environment where families are going to feel comfortable dropping their kids off to us. So,
And another thing is, all of the leaders wear a Life Kids T-shirt, and if you don't want to print up T-shirts, it could even be that everyone wear a yellow T-shirt, you know, and you buy maybe some $3 T-shirts at Walmart, and everyone's going to wear those same yellow T-shirts, something like that. But the little touches that bring uniformity and professionalism to the room make parents feel comfortable. Yep.
Absolutely.
The other thing that you mentioned that I really like was that the leader can get down on the kids' level and read their name tag and address them by name.
Yes.
And they might even address the child before the parent, right?
Absolutely.
Because the child's not the afterthought. They're the star of the show here in
Exactly.
kids ministry. Yeah. Okay. So one thing that you mentioned that seems unusual almost, I want to dig into it a little bit more, is this idea of texting a parent during the service. That seems like, you know, there maybe wouldn't be margin for that, or so give me like a practical example maybe, or tell a story about how that might play out and why it's important.
Absolutely. And so, like Kelsey said earlier, even that red bag lets us know that that family's here for the first time. And so it's something for us as staff that we're hyper aware of. And so when that guest services volunteer walks that family to the classroom, we're keeping our eyes out for that. So that may be an opportunity where we come in and partner with that family as well. Because you're right, it might be a case where the leaders are in the room. We want the leaders to be engaged with the kids at all time. So it may come to a point where the volunteer is like, hey Viv, do you mind texting this family to making sure that they're okay in this room? And so there's actually a really neat story with that. One of our team leads actually was able to do that for a family.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was really neat. And so she was really apprehensive about leaving her son in the room. And he said, how about this? What if I text you a picture of him 15 minutes into the service? How would you feel? Okay. What if I text you a picture of him 30 minutes after the service? How would you feel? Okay.
Yeah.
And he set a reminder on his phone to make sure that that happened. And that mom was so appreciative of that, just because of things that had happened in her past. But that little thing, that little text message went such a long way to her that she's like, this is a home. This is somewhere I can bring my kids. So it's working together with your volunteers. That communication piece is really important. And it might seem unusual to text somebody, but we live in a culture where everybody texts each other now. And as a parent, I think it's almost comfortable for you knowing, okay, my kid is in good hand, and they're paying attention to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, if I was really, really nervous about dropping my kid off and someone texted me every 15 minutes to show me my kid is just playing in the room and watching the lesson, that would make me feel amazing. So I guess, like, we have an expression here kind of that you have to have eyes to see and ears to hear.
Yes.
So in order for a leader to even offer that as an option, they're probably really having to sense from a family maybe that they're anxious. Do you want to talk a little bit about those leaders and staff and volunteers at the door and in the rooms kind of being trained to really have empathy for these new families? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. It's all about reading where families are at.
Yeah.
Body language is huge when it comes to that, and it's taking that initiative to make the conversation about them, to kind of dig in a little bit and see where they're at. You can pay attention if they, what their face is saying, if they're leaning into you, if they're a little standoffish. You're really able to read a lot of how families are doing and how they're feeling in that moment, whether it's their first drop off or maybe it's their 10th and their kiddo is still having a kind of a hard time walking into that room. And so our leaders are fantastic about just engaging in those conversations with the kids as well. If they're hesitant, we encourage our leaders, be confident. Don't stand back because they're crying, but take a step forward, get down on their level, meet them eye to eye, say, we're so excited to have you. We're going to play, we're going to sing, we're going to learn about Jesus, we're going to have so much fun, and we would love to have you be a part of it, and just kind of walk them into the room. And that helps our families feel so comfortable, because then they're sitting in the message not thinking about, what is my child doing? How are they doing? I'm worried. They are confident in the leaders and that their kids are having a great experience. And so we talk about those things with our leaders in several different forms.
Yeah.
So they hear about, taking that initiative and how to have those great conversations with parents in our orientation. They also hear it whenever they are sitting down to train with another Life Kids leader. So they're getting to learn about it in the game a little bit and watching other leaders do it really well. And then we also talk about it in our pre-service huddle. So before every service, we gather all of our Life Kids leaders together about 30 minutes before, and we just get them excited to serve. We get them excited, and we also do some reminders of, okay, this is why we're here. This is what we're doing, and this is how we're going to do it today. We're going to be at the door. We're going to be pumped. We are going to have smiles on our faces. We're just going to engage with those families. And so they hear it, and then we encourage it every single time that we see it. So.
Absolutely.
Oh man, so much good stuff. To those of you just joining us, if you feel like you've missed part of it, and I know we got a little bit of a delayed start, do not worry. We are going to have the show notes available to you after this, so you can just go to go2.lc/welcome families. That's G-O, the word go, G-O, the number 2, .lc/welcome families, and you can sign up there to get the show notes and to get the Excellence Walk checklist. So do not worry about anything that you might have missed, because that was a jam-packed with like little amazing nuggets. I want to ask so many questions. The other thing too, if you have questions, leave them in the comments, because we're in here, we're watching them pop up. So if we can answer any questions, we would love to do that. Okay, so the leaders have been trained. They are just loving on that child all during the lesson. And then now service is over, and parents come to the door to pick them up. So what are some of the things, Kelsey, that you do at your campus? If beginning and middle have gone great, you want that feeling to keep going after the family has left church.
Yeah.
So from the time that the parents pick up the kids, what are some of the things that you do to keep that going?
Absolutely. So one of the first things that we do is encourage and train our leaders to celebrate what went well in that pickup conversation with the parents.
Okay.
Yes, with the parents. So Johnny did so great. He had so much fun. I know he might have been a little hesitant whenever he first walked in, but man, he loved the Legos, and he played with those Legos. And then when it was time to do his Bible verse, he was listening so intently, just sharing with the parents what happened during that hour and just helping them know what their kid experienced and how they did. And so we always encourage them to do that.
And what I really heard there was the specificity. You didn't just say, Dude, he did great.
Yeah.
Have a great week.
Yeah.
You were specific
Details.
about the Bible verse and the Legos and remembering his apprehension. Okay, so, and that's something that can be trained as you're working with volunteers. Okay, so sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
So
no,
what
that's
else?
good.
Yeah.
So the other really big important thing that we do during parent pickup is we have 2 resources. One, they're called adventure books and challenge cards. And basically what these are handouts and activity guides that we give parents that explain in more detail what their kid was learning in Life Kids.
From the lesson.
From the lesson, yep, from the curriculum. So it has their Bible verse on it that they were either trying to memorize or just learning about depending on their age. It also has an activity that they can do at home. So these resources are really great at bringing church home with families
Oh, I love
because
that.
we ultimately want to partner with parents as they are raising their kiddos. And so we love those resources, and it allows parents to be that second voice,
Yeah.
first voice really, in their kid's life and encouraging them and learning those Bible verses and things like that. So that's a great way, maybe it's writing their Bible verse on just a piece of paper and handing it to them and saying this is
Right.
what they learned at pickup. And that allows them to take that home for the rest of the week. And then something that we do for younger kiddos, for our baby rooms, is we have Changed with Love diaper stickers. And so
Okay. Yes. Back up. So it's a sticker that says "Changed with Love" on it. That is so sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Okay, so it's a little
love it.
sticker. It probably
Yeah.
has our logo on it, like
Yeah.
kids, and it says "Changed with Love." Okay,
Yes.
so why do we do this?
Absolutely. So we put those, well, first of all, we change every diaper of every kid at every service.
Oh,
That
cool.
is one thing that we want to partner with families in that way. We want to love those kiddos in that way and keep them safe. And
Keep
so,
them clean.
yeah, keep them clean. Come on. And so we put that sticker on their diaper, and that just is a way to tell these parents who have kiddos that might not be able to communicate how their experience was that we were paying attention to their kid, that we noticed them, that we were caring for them, that we were loving for them. And so they'll take their kids home and they'll see that sticker and they know, man, I know that someone was loving on my kid and keeping them safe and just really just creating that fun and safe environment, even if they're 6 months old. So.
And I love that. I know when I pick up my little girl, she always has one. And as a parent, it gives me such peace of mind to know that she wasn't in a soggy diaper for an hour.
Exactly.
You know, that someone took the time to make sure that she was clean. Okay, so those were some of the really practical things at the door, remembering the child's story, saying goodbye to them by name, using the diaper sticker. So then what about after the family has left? They're not on our site anymore, but it's a week later, 2 weeks later. What are some of the longer term follow-up things, Viv, that we do?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we love doing is our initial follow-up after that is we send them a text message. So I'll personally send them a text message, welcoming them, thanking them for coming in and experiencing Life Kids and church, and just really, and I just extend, do you have any questions for us? Is there any opportunity for stories that you want to share with us? And then I'll also even eventually ask them if they wanted to meet with me, have coffee, and something new that we're trying is we also will follow up not only that first week, but that second week.
Oh, I like that.
And then letting them know, hey, this is what your kid is going to learn about when he comes to church this weekend.
Would that be for the third week or for the second week?
For the second
Yeah,
week.
so for the second week. So that's really good, like a little enticement kind of. But hey, if your family comes to church, your kid is going to continue to learn about Christ, and here's the lesson.
And here's the lesson.
I love that.
And something that's been really neat is parents have been so appreciative of just that follow-up. So we have about an 80 to 90 response rate on those text messages that I send out to families. And most of them is just, hey, I am so thankful. Thank you for just the service that you provided us. My kid had such a great time. He's already asking when can we come back again.
Which is
And
great.
so it's great, and it's
Yeah.
also an opportunity for you to harvest stories about what's really going on in your ministry, what parents are enjoying, what kids are enjoying, and it's just that extra piece of connection for them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So what are some other things you do? Anything else other than texting?
Yeah, so our leaders
Because
actually
that might happen day of, maybe
day
next
of,
day.
next day.
Okay.
Something that could even drag out throughout the rest of the week is leaders send cards home to the kids.
Okay.
So we've provided note cards in every room where a leader can sit there and write a card home to a family, to one of the kids that they attended, and again with specific things that happened during that hour. So even saying, hey Jimmy, so thankful that you visited us here for the first time, and you really rocked that Bible verse, even though you were learning it for the very first time. I can't wait to see you next week.
Yeah.
Or even when they were in small group, they might have been sharing different things, like, I have a basketball game next week, or I'm going to a dance recital. And what that allows the leader to do is say, hey, I'm praying for you while you go to your dance recital. And it lets parents know, man, my kid is being paid attention to. There are people that are investing in the lives of my children. And so it's a little piece, like, who gets mail anymore? What kid gets mail?
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Do you send it home with them at the door, or do you actually mail it in the mail?
We actually mail it in the mail.
That is so fun.
Yeah. And so it comes in later in the week. So they've come to church on the weekend. It's Wednesday, Thursday, and there's another, here's Life Kids again.
If I was 5 years old and
Yeah.
I got a piece of mail with my own name on it delivered to my house, I would be so excited.
And what's so great is the kids will come back the next weekend running through our halls with the card that we've sent home. And
like,
again,
Miss Mary, you sent
Miss
me a
Mary.
card. Yeah.
What's really neat, we actually just had a story. So we had a family that they had to move to Colorado. So their last weekend, their daughter Allie runs to one of our leaders, Trisha, and gives her a hug and says, Miss Trisha, I love you so much, and I know that you love me because you send me a card every week. Every week.
That
And
is
so
so
it
sweet.
really, it's something so simple that goes such a long way.
Yeah. Well, I love that. So imagine how a family would feel cared for if from the time that they got waved at in the parking lot to 2 or 3 weeks later, their little baby gets a card in the mail. Like, what kind of span of care is that? And that's kind of what we mean about guest services, being customer service. That care hopefully will become a part of their daily lives. Man, guys, thank you so much for sharing beginning, middle, and end of providing guest services for families. So we're going to move to some questions now. Tabitha has a question. How do you handle latecomers to the service? So maybe the service is already 10 minutes in and the parent wants to come in, or maybe parents had their child in the service with the adults and the kid was squirmy, so they want to bring them. Is there anything special, or what can you do there? Viv? No? Kelsey?
Yeah.
Go.
Me? Okay. That's such a great question. When I think about latecomers, we still want to create that same great welcoming environment. So we try to have multiple leaders in our rooms to kind of manage and help with some of those latecomers and still make sure that we have someone manning the door. And so they might not stay there the entire service, but they're staying there kind of through worship, lingering, just making sure that those latecomers still have the same great experience. And one thing we do is we just try to welcome them in and then just put them right wherever we're at. So if we've already started cleaning up, then we just put them right into a small group. Or we just, welcome them by name, and then, this is what we're doing right now. Let's go ahead, and they walk them to the spot where they're currently at in the message. So
Okay, and so another thing I can think of might be that guest services counter stays manned for a while.
Yes.
Right? Like someone
absolutely.
doesn't say, okay, cool, service started, I'm out. Yeah, so do you pick like maybe the 15-minute mark or something to keep that counter manned? Okay, great. Okay, so guys, again, we are loving the questions that are coming in. Thank you, Tabitha, for that one. And again, go to our site, go.lc/welcoming families. So welcoming families or welcome families? Let's get it right for you guys. Okay, it is welcome families. So it's go.lc/welcome families, and there you are going to get the Excellence Walk checklist. You can get that today and download it, and you can also sign up to get our show notes sent back to you so you don't miss anything. Okay, we have more questions. Kevin Little, this is a good one. Kevin Little asks, how do you measure success in your kids' ministry? What are the numbers that you look at regularly? And then he also asks, what are the intangibles that you look for? So maybe
That's
it's
good.
not a data point,
Okay.
but the health and the feel of your church. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Kevin. That's awesome. And so some of those intangible things that we look for is, are families coming back? And are they having a great experience? Are kids learning their Bible verse? And so the great thing, one of my favorite things to do is walk through the halls during the lesson and seeing, are they engaged in what's going on in the classroom around them? Are they bringing their challenge cards back? And so that take-home piece that they get to bring back, are they filling those out? And some of those data points, if you're a numbers person, I love charts and bar graphs.
Gross.
Oh, I know. Some of those things that we look for is that how many new families do we have, and are they coming back the following week? because that's something that we can track with our check-in system. Also, how many kids to leaders do we have in each room? That's really important. One, for safety, but two, also providing an excellence experience for everyone. So for that kid, for the family, and even for the leader who's going to be in there with their kids. And so looking at those numbers and just tracking over time.
So let me ask you that, because Miguel Serrano also asked exactly that. What is the ratio of leaders to kids? It changes for the different age groups, right?
Absolutely.
The littler kids have
Yes.
more leaders?
Little-
per count?
yes.
Okay. Tell me what the ratios are.
Absolutely. So for our babies, so that's 0 to 23 months, we have one adult leader, 18 years or older, for every 4 kids. Okay.
So 2 to 8 might be kind of a normal size room.
Yeah,
Okay.
2 to 8. And then we have from our 2-year-olds all the way through our kindergarten rooms, that ratio is 1 to 6. So one adult, 18 years or older, for
Okay.
every 6 kids that we have in our room. And then as we get older in our bigger classrooms, so we get into elementary school first, all the way through 6th grade, we have one adult for every 10 kids. And then in our situation, we have an MC and someone who kind of runs our lights in our room, so it's 1 to 10 plus 2. So we always making sure that we have someone who can run the experience, and then
Okay.
someone who's controlling our lights.
So that's all that audiovisual
That's
stuff.
all,
Okay.
yeah, our audio visual for the experience.
Okay. Okay, Kelsey, so this is a good question. We actually didn't make this clear. So Kelsey, tell us, is the guest services team, those check-in people at the counter, are they in the Life Kids volunteer team, or are they a separate team?
They are part of the Life Kids team, and so we treat them as Life Kids leaders, and we train them as Life Kids
Yes.
leaders too.
And then do they serve in the rooms too, or is their service spot is guest services?
Yeah, their service spot is guest services. So their whole goal and their whole mission whenever they show up to serve is to welcome and greet those families, whether they're new or they've been coming for a while. And so they're just there to present great customer service to all of our families.
Okay.
And what's really cool is that because they're Life Kids leaders, they can have those really great kid conversations. So they know about ratios, they know about our leaders being background checked,
Exactly.
they know what the curriculum's going to be, and those are the things that help break down those walls for our parents who are joining us for the very first time.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so here is a tough one. LW Kids Church says that they sometimes have volunteers who show up whenever they want and have low energy when they get there. So is there a level of excellence that you expect from those volunteers, but then how do you draw that out of them? Because you don't want it to be a negative experience for the volunteers, but what do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question, and man, that's something that we're still working on and
I
trying.
think everyone does.
Yeah, that span of care aspect for your leaders, and making sure that when they come to serve, that they are excited, that they have energy, that they feel passionate about what they get to do every single weekend. And so just a few things that we do, we always lead with the why, and so we want to build energy by casting vision and leading with that why and explaining to them what they get to be a part of and why we do what we do
And why it matters.
and why it
Okay.
matters every single weekend. Something else that we do is we try to meet with our leaders, and so as staff members, we don't always have all the time and margin to meet with every single person. So we bring on other Life Kids leaders called coaches, and these coaches work in the Life Kids in the Life Kids hallway. Ooh, words are hard. And they are there to serve and support Life Kids leaders. So they don't work in the rooms; they work in the hallway, and their whole focus is how are our leaders doing? Do we need to meet with them? They had a really hard week. They're there just to get to know them and help them feel needed and known. We talk about those two things a lot. Are our leaders feeling needed? Do they feel like they have a place and a spot in our ministry? And do they feel known? Do they feel cared for? Do they feel like they're a part of a team and a part of something bigger?
Yeah.
So those are two things that we try to do, lead with the why, and then also span of care with our coaches to kind of bring that energy and care for our people.
And I know at my campus, I don't serve in Life Kids, but I do serve on the host team, and the principle there is the consistency and the repetition. So I know, like you mentioned, huddles before. In a huddle, that is a perfect time every single week that you can be reminding someone, hey, your smile really matters, or man, we love it, you've been here 3 weeks straight, to try and increase consistency and stuff like that. Okay, well guys, Thank you so much for joining us. I know that you have more questions that you've been leaving in the comments. Our Life Kids team here at Life Church and the Open Network team, we are going to be filtering through the comments and answering and responding. So do not give up in there or feel bad. We are going to answer your questions. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, one last time, you can go to go2.lc/welcomefamilies to get the Excellence Walk checklist. This is going to make your weekend crazy good. You want to get this. And you can also sign up for the show notes on that page. Again, visit Life Church Open Network. That's open.life.church. That's our URL anytime for all of the free resources that we offer. Thank you again for joining us, and we hope that what you learned today here helps make your ministry stronger.